I am a dog's ball, once bright red, now faded to a tired pink, my rubber skin pitted with teeth marks and time. I have lived many lives, each one marked by a different dog, a different hand, a different kind of love or loss. I am not just a toy, I am a witness, a secret keeper, a survivor. My first memory is of a birthday party. Balloons, cake. A little boy named Jamie shrieking with joy as his parents handed him a box. Inside, me and a collar for a golden puppy named Scout. Jamie's hands were sticky with frosting when he threw me for the first time. Scout tumbled after me, clumsy and wild, and I soared through the air, certain I'd never land. For a while I was everything. A prize, a comfort, a reason for laughter. But time is cruel. Jamie's parents began to fight. The house filled with sharp words and slammed doors. Scout and I would hide under the bed, listening to the storm above. One day, Jamie's mother left, and the laughter left with her. Jamie grew quiet. Scout stopped playing. I rolled under the couch, forgotten. Months passed. The house emptied out, room by room. On moving day, Jamie's father packed boxes with a hollow look in his eyes. Scout and I were loaded into the car. But when we stopped at a strange building with barking and metal cages, Jamie's father didn't look back. He left us there, in the shelter, with nothing but each other and the echo of old happiness. The shelter was a world of longing. Dogs barked, whined, pressed their noses to the bars. I was tossed into a bin with other toys, some chewed, some new, all abandoned. Scout curled up in the corner of his cage, eyes dull. I tried to remind him of the backyard, the games, the boy who once loved us. But I was just a ball, silent and helpless. Days blurred into weeks. Puppies came and went. But Scout was too old, they said. I watched hope flicker and die in his eyes. I wondered if this was how stories ended, not with a bang, but with a whimper and a sigh. Then, one rainy afternoon, the shelter door chimed. A woman entered, her coat soaked, her face drawn with exhaustion. Beside her was a girl in a wheelchair, her hair tangled, her eyes wary. The woman knelt by Scout's cage. "He's gentle," the worker said. "He's been through a lot." The girl's gaze met Scout's, and something passed between them, a silent understanding, a shared ache. The woman signed papers. Scout was going home. I thought I'd be left behind, but the girl's hand reached into the toy bin, trembling, and closed around me. "This one," she whispered. For the first time in ages, I felt hope. Their home was small, cluttered with books, and the scent of tea. The woman, Miss Carter, moved with a tired grace, her hands always busy. The girl, Lily, rarely spoke. Scout lay at her feet, his head on her lap. I sat on the windowsill, watching the rain trace patterns on the glass. One afternoon, sunlight spilled across the floor. Lily reached for me, her fingers weak but determined. Scout perked up, tail thumping. Lily tried to throw me, but her grip faltered. Scout nudged me back, gentle as a sigh. Again and again, Lily tried. Each time her hand grew steadier. Her laughter, soft, uncertain, filled the room. Miss Carter watched from the doorway, tears shining in her eyes. Days turned into weeks, and the house began to change. The air, once heavy with silence, now hummed with small sounds. Scout's nails clicking on the floor. Lily's quiet giggles. The kettle whistling in the kitchen. Lily's hands grew stronger. She learned to throw me farther, and Scout chased me with a joy I thought he'd lost forever. Sometimes, when the sun was just right, I'd catch a glimpse of the old happiness, shimmering like a memory. But happiness is fragile. One evening, as autumn winds rattled the windows, Miss Carter came home late, her face pale and worried. She spoke in hushed tones on the phone, her voice trembling. Money was tight. The landlord wanted more rent. Lily listened from the hallway, her eyes wide with fear. That night, she clutched me to her chest as she slept, and I wished I could do more than just be a ball. The next day at school, things got worse. Lily brought me in her backpack, hoping for comfort. But some kids noticed. "What's that? A baby toy?" they sneered. One boy grabbed me and tossed me across the code playground. Laughter echoed. Lily's cheeks burned with shame. She wheeled herself after me, but the kids kept me just out of reach, playing keep-away. Scout, waiting by the fence, barked and whined, but no one listened. Finally, a teacher intervened. Lily retrieved me, her hands shaking. She didn't cry, but I felt her sadness, heavy as stone. That night, she didn't want to play. Scout lay beside her, his nose pressed to her arm, and I sat on the nightstand, wishing I could speak. But small acts of kindness have power. The next morning, Lily found a note in her backpack. "Sorry about yesterday, your dog is cool." It was signed by one of the boys. At recess, he came over and asked if he could throw me for Scout. Hesitant, Lily agreed. Soon other kids joined. Scout ran and leapt, catching me mid-air, and Lily laughed, a real bright laugh that made even the teachers smile. At home, Ms. Carter noticed the change. She hugged Lily tighter, her eyes shining with hope. "You're so brave," she whispered. "You and Scout, both." For the first time, Lily invited a friend over. They played fetch in the yard, and I soared higher than ever before. But life, as always, had one more test. One stormy night, a window blew open. I rolled off the table, down the hall, and out into the rain. Scout barked, frantic. Lily called for me, her voice breaking. Ms. Carter searched with a flashlight, but I was gone, lost in the darkness, cold and alone. I lay in the mud, remembering every hand that had held me, every dog that had chased me, every moment of joy and pain. I wondered if this was the end. But love is stubborn. At dawn, Lily wheeled herself outside, Scout at her side. The yard was slick with mud, the grass flattened by rain. Lily's hands shook as she searched, her breath coming in sharp gasps. Scout sniffed the ground, whining. And then, miracle of miracles, Lily stood. Just for a moment, shaky and uncertain. But she stood. She took a step, then another, and fell to her knees beside me. She clutched me to her chest, sobbing with relief and joy. Ms. Carter ran to them, dropping to the ground, holding her daughter and Scout, and me. The neighbors watched from their windows, stunned. Lily had walked, for a ball, for a friend. After that, everything changed. Lily grew stronger, her steps more confident. Scout was no longer just a shelter dog. He was a hero. Ms. Carter found a new job, and the house filled with laughter and light. And me? I was no longer just a toy. I was a witness to a miracle, a symbol of hope. Sometimes I think about all the places I've been, all the losses I've seen. I have cracks and scars, but I am still here. I am proof that even the smallest thing, a battered old ball, can change a life. Maybe that's my purpose. Maybe that's the miracle. And if I'm ever lost again, I know someone will come looking. Because love, once found, never truly lets go.